God's grace is sufficient for everyone. God's grace is both humanity's greatest need and its deepest question. Does God truly offer His love and mercy to imperfect, flawed humans like us? At times, people question whether they are worthy of God's grace when considering His justice and holiness. However, God's grace is a gift offered not just to us, but to all humanity. The coming of Jesus Christ and His sacrifice on the cross is the greatest example of God's grace, and this grace is sufficient for everyone. The Bible clearly states that God's grace is limitless and never runs out. In Ephesians 2:8-9 it says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast." God's grace is a gift given to people not because they deserve it, but solely through His favor. No matter how hard people try, God's grace is never measured by human effort. He freely offers it with boundless love. Jesus taught in many ways about how vast God's grace is. One example is the story of the lost sheep, Luke 15:3-7. Jesus describes a shepherd who leaves 99 sheep to search for one that is lost, showing how deep God's grace is for even one person. When the shepherd finds the lost sheep, he shares his joy with everyone. This symbolizes God's joy and the celebration He experiences when a lost soul is found, demonstrating that His grace is sufficient even for the greatest sinners and deepest losses. God's grace not only forgives past sins, but also calls an individual to a new life. Corinthians 5:17 says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new." God's grace does not only forgive, it also cleanses a person's heart and gives them a fresh start. He sees us not for our past mistakes, but for our future potential. This grace is sufficient for everyone. No one is excluded from God's love and mercy. Jesus teaches, "I desire that everyone should receive this great gift. And he who comes to me I will never cast out." John 6:37. Grace is not limited by a person's past, race, status, or mistakes. God's grace is available to all. It is always sufficient for everyone. God's grace is not measured by human worth, but by God's mercy. Accepting this grace involves seeing ourselves through God's eyes. God accepts you as you are and embraces you with His love. God's grace is like a treasure, an invaluable gift that must be accepted at the right time. If you want to learn how God's grace can transform your life, join our YouTube channel. Explore this gift more deeply and discover how you can apply it in your life. God's grace is always sufficient, and we invite you to join us on this journey to understand it better.